AI agents, AI agents, AI agents. You hear about them all the time. But what are they actually doing? What do they actually look like? Well, today we have a very practical case study of an agent that's already in the field, an agent designed to make your sales team 10x or even 100x more effective. My name is Jeff Wilser. I'm a journalist, I'm a human, and I am curious about AI. And at a recent AI conference in Vegas, HumanX, it was crystal clear that AI agents were all the rage. I was intrigued by a company called Alta that's building AI agents for sales teams. It sounds good in theory, but how does it actually work? What are the implications to business? Are there like robots making sales calls? Or are they robots taking clients to go golfing? Like, what does it actually mean? So I thought this would be a good window into the state of play of AI agents. What are we really talking about here? So I am delighted to have as our guest today, Stav Levi-Neumark, the CEO and co-founder of Alta. Stav and I talk all things AI sales agents. As she explains, they're not meant to replace the human beings who are currently making sales calls and going golfing, but to give them new tools to do the outreach better. In theory, this makes it easier to prospect, easier to gather data about your target customers, easier to figure out when to reach out and when to leave them alone, and easier to keep track of all of your customers and clients. We also widen the lens and look at how AI might change the overall sales landscape and predictions for how the entire industry will be impacted. If you were at all involved in sales of any kind, well, this episode is smack in your wheelhouse. But even for anyone curious as to how AI agents are actually beginning to function in the wild, I think this gives a nice, concrete example of what's happening in this fast evolving space. So with that, please enjoy my conversation with Stav Levi-Neumark, the CEO and co-founder of Alta. Stav, welcome to AI Curious. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So,
how are you?
I'm great. Super excited to dive into this. I think we've talked a lot in this show about AI agents, and it's often more theoretical and abstract in what could be done in the future. So one reason I was so excited to meet your team at the HumanX conference in Vegas is you guys are you're doing it, right? You guys are in the fields with AI agents delivering results. So I really want to kind of like get a sense of how it's actually working. But let's start with like the problem that you're solving, right? Where do you see a gap in most companies like sales teams? Like where is there a bit of a glitch in the current world that you're trying to improve?
Yeah. So when we started the company, we had one mission in mind, which is to empower revenue teams to be kind of a 10x version of themselves using data. And it was 2 years ago. And what's happened since then is that AI agents and like the ability became so real and like so quickly scaled that we figure out it's needed to be like 100x and not 10x.
10x
And to not leveraging
100x.
and not just leveraging actually AI, but data. It's actually leveraging AI and data. So our mission kind of stayed the same. It's really connected also to our background. In my previous work, I was one of the first employees at Monday.com, and I was there like 8 years ago, and it was a 15 people company called The Pulse. And what I did there was that, like, I helped the revenue teams using data to actually doing like 10x of what they're doing. And I figure out like along the way that more and more companies should adopt this methodology, this way of thinking on a revenue engine, and like thinking about like ROI and like the return to your time that you're investing in customers, and to the cost of doing like repetitive work or something that AI and basically even before AI, that the technology could help you solve. I think that just agent was like a very, very big opportunity for us to kind of boost this effort and give much more value than we actually planned to.
No, amazing. And I love the model of like 10x, not enough, 100x. We're doing that. So what does that actually look like? What is, I get in theory at a high level, the idea that AI can more quickly execute a lot of the routine tasks an actual human salesperson does. But and I also can appreciate an AI agent can work 24/7, doesn't call in sick, all the kind of benefits of AI. But are they sending like cold pitches? Like, talk about what it actually looks like and from a kind of practical perspective.
Yeah. So basically, we have our three agents. We have Katie, which is in our AI outbound SDR, Alex, which is our calling agent and like kind of inside sales, and we have Luna, which is our RevOps, and she's kind of a back office behind the scene helping Alex and Katie.
Great names, by the way. Luna is totally the name for the back office, and I'm guessing poor Luna doesn't get enough respect. She's the one, like the other two are getting the glory, but Luna's doing a lot of the work.
But Luna, she's doing the hard work,
Hard work.
And like, actually, my psychologist once told me that I am Luna. So.
Okay,
but this is for another, yeah.
Okay, a different episode. We'll dive into that.
Yeah. So basically, we're connecting to a lot of different sources of data, like CRM data, website data, your success stories and blog posts, and etc. Mm-hmm. And what Katie does is the prospecting part. So using a lot of different enrichment tools. Like Apollo and ZoomInfo and People Data Labs in order to find the best audience and enrich.
Steph, for listeners who aren't as plugged into kind of the sales world, can you just describe what those platforms you mentioned are, the kind of just the basics of those kind of sales tools and how AI is able to use them? Yeah,
definitely. So there are a lot of sales tools that's selling data. So basically it's like third-party data of who is the people, where are they working at, what company are they working at, what industry this company is at. And in those tools, you can basically search for your desired customers, like potential customers. And once you're finding those desired customers, it's this process called prospecting. You're like research around who's the prospect you wanna engage with. Who's the people you like kind of saying this one is a good fit for my business. And the way those tools work is that each tool contains some amount of data. And if you're using a lot of those tools, you get kind of a better coverage and more accurate data. And it's something that in larger companies, people doing like working with a lot of different data sets. But small company doesn't have access to it. So
and I'm guessing, if I'm hearing you right, there's a very manual process, perhaps, of you're looking through whether a spreadsheet or database of like thousands or tens of thousands of possible prospects. And then I'm guessing I don't have a sales background, so I'm making this up.
It's like a 2 billion-ish.
2 billion, okay. So in my mind, 1,000, like 2 billion. All right.
It's like actually we get to a coverage of most of the people in the world that have representative on the internet. Like this is the
interesting. Okay, so there's a value out there too of, I'm guessing, giving more and richer data than a human being is normally processing, right? So if I'm trying to kind of get my arms around the shift from the current human world and then what this kind of new tool does. So if my company hires like a junior sales rep, right, or CRM person, it's like, okay, your job is to go through and make heads and tails of this monster database of possible leads and figure out which ones are like the most ripe, and then and kind of sort those, and that might take hours or days to go through manually and figure out, okay, I've whittled this list of 200,000 prospects down to the top 200 that I will reach out to tomorrow morning, right? And so, am I getting it right that your AI
Totally, yeah,
tool is
totally
like
correct.
automating all of that, but potentially with a larger data set, and maybe even is able to like draw conclusions and make patterns and realize actually
Exactly.
what you thought these 200 were like the best prospects, it's actually these 200 over here, and here's why. I'm making all this up.
You are absolutely correct, and the way to do it is to understand what is your business doing, and what is the audience looking for, and it's actually not just about finding the right people; it's finding the right people in the right time. So to have also like data that those tools have is around buying intent. So is this person have buying intent now to buy your tool? And then you're doing kind of a Tinder for businesses and prospects, in a way, and like succeed to match those people. And once you did this match, you need to craft the best messaging to send to these people and like in the best channel. So you can either send it via LinkedIn or via email, or even to create a phone call, and with a AI agent or a real person, like with a reminder. And in the end, you have a potential customer that is booked meeting with you. Like this is the goal. What we help them create is actually pipeline, or potential customers that book meeting with them. And this is Katie. This is what Katie.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to ask you to remind us. So, and so there's Katie, Luna, and a third. Remind me of the third agent's name. And is Alex? So is Alex the one who's doing the prospects analysis, or
no? So Katie? Luna is the back office, like the mind. So Luna, she's like
Luna,
the data.
I've already erased Luna from this. So apologies, Luna.
Yeah. And there is like also like there is, of course, when we talked about the names of the agent, that there is like a marketing perspective of it, of like giving them like a kind of a role and name and like but there is also like it's a really a different part of the program and of the platform. You really don't have to use all of them together, and there is like a way to kind of you don't have to connect your first party data in order to use Katie, for example. So, but you can use like just the third party data. Yeah.
And I think I'm already seeing how this could be, and we'll definitely get some deeper questions later about kind of big picture philosophically, how organizations are thinking about sales and humans and AI and working together. And we'll get into that. But I can see how this is kind of in theory additive, as opposed to, we're firing our sales guy, Brad, and replacing with AI, Katie.
Yeah.
Instead of like, okay, Brad maybe is overloaded with like all of the work to get the prospecting sorted. And then I have a bunch of friends in sales. No one that I know enjoys the kind of cold outreach on LinkedIn or whatever. That's freaking tedious and terrible, right? So it's like, so it's automating that part to then once if there's a Tinder match on, then Brad, the human, steps in actually, and then talks to a prospect in person after that. And is that kind of how you see the kind of flow of like when humans get in the loop again?
So I think like there is a report I recently read from Gartner that sales people actually spend only around 30% of their time in actual sales work, meaning like personal connection and like and doing this thing that they love to do, the reason that they sign up for this job, in a way, and like the thing that they are good at. And there is a lot of like things around it. So BDR work, like SDR work, this outbound is is in many companies part of the responsibility of the sales team.
Yeah.
But also in companies, it is in the responsibility of the SDR team, like people that specialize in outbound. So I really think that the best way to leverage Katie in our platform is that you have an SDR that's kind of managing it and managing all this prospect and this work and like drafting hypotheses of campaigns that might be more relevant. So kind of the way that you won't send email directly from ChatGPT, and you would want to review what he writes
Yeah.
before you are sending it. So there are people that using it in that way and not completely autopilot, but also like gaining trust in the messages that is right, and then like autopilot part of it. And for other the type of customers, like also like help to refine it and like so I think like the way to look at it is the way you look at how ChatGPT help you with crafting emails and write content. Like you won't let it to do without you, but he will helping you like
that's like a foundational concept of keeping humans in the loop, right? So I think it's super important, and that's a good segue. I was curious about what it actually looks and feels like. Like I think like the worst, the best case scenario of this is like, great, our human salesperson has the least enjoyable part of their job kind of like dramatically improved and takes less time, some more time in human connection. Great. The scenario I'm sure a lot of listeners are wondering about is, okay, we all got those spammy DMs in LinkedIn that's clearly like, hi, Jeff, I'm very impressed by your profile, and which things like that, right? So
and the recent post you write about
yes,
X.
exactly. And so like I'm like, oh my God. And I feel like there's a increasing amount of these really annoying, clearly like spammy kind of chat body type things. So like it's a two-part question. How do you ensure that this doesn't feel like one of those super annoying, spammy, generic
things? A really
things?
good question. Very important question.
I guess I'm guessing part of this is what distinguishes what makes us an AI agent and not like a chatbot? I'm just trying to figure out the distinction there. Yeah.
Two great questions. So for the first one, I think like the spray and pray methodology, which is like something that it's like SDR, very common methodology, not even AI SDR, just like SDR. Because like the way to find leads is like if you have a conversion rate of 1%, and you need to get like 10 leads. So maybe you can send like 100 more and you get like one more. So I think like the way to think about it is what I said in the beginning of Tinder, kind of like finding the person who actually have the intent right now to buy what you want to sell them. Because I think like if I will touch in a very like big pain points you have of something you really want, need in your life right now, and we'll send you a message about it in a direct way in your LinkedIn, it might be way more interested than a tool that, I don't know, you never need or never use, or like it's not even so we have a lot of example from customers that have like much higher conversion rates due to like this first part, not the messaging, but to find the right people at the right time. So everything that I said in the beginning, it's like really important part of what we're doing is to find the people that actually needs what you want to sell.
Can you give an example of like what that means of like by the right time, like how and what type of data are you guys like hoovering in to look at and to figure out, this is why this senior vice president of marketing needs this right now, whereas like a year ago it would not make sense to contact her.
So actually I have a cool example for it that just happened recently, but there is like going to be an Olympic games around tennis, and the person that wanted to find like the tennis players, the top leading tennis players in the world, reached us and used our platform. And actually, like when you want to find like a top player for the Olympic and connected it to So this is like a great example of the right person, maybe not in the right time, but like to really find the right person, it won't be intrigued if you will send them a message. It won't be like upset if you will send them a message or because it's like something that is interesting for him potentially. But I can give a few more examples of like buying intent and buying signals. Like one more example is that there is a website called G2. G2 is a comparison website. And part of what they're doing is selling data about who search for a tool in a specific word. So you can know that, for example, a CMO search for an ad performance optimization tool in the last week. Like, and you can know that this person might be relevant for, like, he's searching now for tools. So you have like now the great opportunity to offer him a tool in this word. So
no, it's great.
So this is the,
That's a helpful kind of concrete view of it. And am I right, Stav, that part of the thesis here is that response time, there's like the response time is dramatically faster with kind of an AI agents in play, and that's like often sales teams lose leads due to like not reacting quickly enough. Is that kind of what part of the mission here too?
Yeah, definitely. So we didn't talk much about Alex, but I just like say one use case of Alex, which is our calling agent in inside sales, is to answer inbound leads. So for companies that have like leads that kind of coming in and fill out form to contact them, many times it's very important to pick up the phone and reach them immediately, because the intent of their buying is highest when they just fill out the form. Like 12 hours later, the intent is going really down, and they don't even remember like for what did I sign up for? So you want to be really quick on it. And in Monday, when I used to work at Monday.com, we had a lot of research about like SLA and the negative effect of calling back slow to a potential customer. And I think this is like where agentic can really rise.
Does Alex actually is it on the roadmap in like phase 2, or is it happening today? That is an AI agents, Alex actually, if someone calls, does it actually pick up the phone? Like, is there actual like you sound like you're having a conversation, and does the prospect know it's an AI person? And is it like what distinguishes it from because we've all been there, we call the airline or cable company, you're like, press 2 to change your flight, press 3. I'm like, you want to throw your phone across the room, right? How do you ensure that Alex conversation feels like a real flow and not like the throw your phone across the room and press 2, press 3, go to hell type thing?
Great, because it's also connected to a question you asked before and I didn't answer, which is bot versus agent. So it's great. It brings us back to it as well. But first of all, yes, Alex already exists, and it's also like one of our he's and Katie kind of even in terms of the amount of how much they are out there. So Alex is making the phone call, is actually saying, and we had a lot of A/B tests around it, that he's saying in full transparency is an AI agent, is not mimic as a person, and the reason is that when he say that he's an AI person, people are much more direct with him, and they telling immediately their intent. There is no like.
There's not like, how's the weather? Where are you based? How do you?
Exactly. So they're like straight to the point, telling what their needs, asking if they're like, this is like a good place that they can solve their needs. So they ask question, and Alex have a lot of context and a lot of feedback. So it's also like this call is looking way different than we are trying to mimic as a real person, and then it's like weird fake laugh of AI agent or anything like this, which is really creepy.
Yeah.
And we are like, our hypothesis is also to be like transparent in many ways about the use of AI, because it's give people ability to, first of all, not to troll it,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
like trying to like understand if it's AI or a real person's talking to me, but they know they are talking
Mm-hmm.
to an AI.
Mm-hmm.
But like you asked in the beginning, it's not like press one to
Right.
because the difference between bot
Yeah.
or let's say workflow versus agent is the way it's built. So workflow is more kind of a transactional way of looking at things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like more kind of a tree. Like if you imagine a tree,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
if else kind of if this then that, or if
Yep.
this then that. And in a tree mode, you it's really hard to understand in each node of the tree where are you located. So you want to like make it really structured, and like if you press one you move to this node, if you press two you move to this node.
Yeah.
Versus an agent, where an agent is like if I'll explain it in the most simple way, is just like four things. It's a model, so which kind of like brain you have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like ChatGPT, I don't know, like a 4.1 or whatever of the
Claude
awful
or
names
whatever,
they
right?
have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or Claude or whatever the model
Mm-hmm.
is. And instructions. Okay. So what do you need to do? Tools. So what is the
Mm-hmm.
tools you can use in order to
Mm-hmm.
do this action? So for example, you can use the tool of knowledge base, like retrieve data from the knowledge base, or you can use the tool of schedule a meeting in the calendar, or you
Mm-hmm.
can use get information from the calendar when we have next available time, or
Mm-hmm.
etc. And data. So which is the data layer and the context you give to this agent. So once you have this fourth thing, the model kind of decide what to use when, which task is it going to do
Yeah.
how. And he's just doing it by leveraging the tools, the data, and his instructions. Okay, so like, you have brain with like a set of tools, a mission, clear mission, which is the instruction, and a data you can use. So
And I like the way you describe tools. I think one guest on the show a while ago delineated agents from chatbot as, think of a chatbot as like a head, like a brain. You can talk to it and it help you think and communicate, but there's no arms, no body, right? Whereas an
yeah,
agent is using the tools you mentioned. And
yeah.
is there an element to Stav of like, I mean, even the word agents literally has like agency is kind of baked in the word. Is
Yeah,
there a sense, how are you thinking about decision making and kind of what like what
autonomous.
yeah, how exactly what in that is me going to try and take a stab at getting to a deeper kind of question here. um to what extent do these sales agents have autonomy now? Like, what's the scope of kind of what they're empowered to do when interacting with customers? And how do you see that evolving in the future? Like, where can the scope, where can we get to, and what's appropriate to get to, right? Well, like, how much agency should an agent have, right? Is the appropriate scope to like, cool, we'll set the call up with Brad human, or is it no? We actually think an agent can handle the first two or three intro meetings, and heck, eventually, do you see a world, Stav, where the
Yeah.
agent is getting coffee because coffee's for closers, and the AI agent is drinking the cyber coffee, and doing everything, and the agent is fully closing deals, and then there's like a fourth.
Yeah.
You have the fourth person coming in who's your customer success coach, and she is working with clients down the road and stuff. Where do you see the scope kind of beginning and ending?
Yeah, so I think there is like no one answer to it. There are kind of like no one size fit all type of companies.
Yeah.
And I think like if you look at like there is type of sales which is more transactional sales, when it's like 1-2 meeting till closing. And it's mostly around like technical question or like product question, and not like about like deep connection with the customer. And
Mm-hmm.
there are a type of selling that you need to have kind of a longer process, getting to know more your customer, look him in the eye, and like kind of commit to what you're selling to. And I think that AI will going to play a different role in both of those words. So I think like, and it's not just about doing the easy job necessarily, because sometimes AI can do like complex work. Like for example, if you look at Perplexity, they're doing like deep research with AI. So it's not just about like the simple job. It's not just like we'll say, okay, all the simple job in sales is going to disappear and like the hard job is going to. So it's more about like the things that we as a human really needed to do. And I think one of them is like this personal connection. And I think sales word in the future is going to be more about like being a customer advisor and like walking hand with hand with your customer and helping them understand like what they need, and like helping them choose kind of from what they need, while they have their agents helping them with all of the knowledge. So I'm like imagine the call of like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, with a sales rep, and every sales rep probably going to have kind of a replicate AI agent with him in the call that's kind of doing solution engineer work. Which we have a lot of companies that have solution engineer, which is like an expert of objection handling and like understanding the core of the product, and the core of the need, and like trying to bridge the gap. So you can have kind of a solution engineer with you in every call. And you are more the customer advisor. And I also think that more and more roles in the sales world going to have some kind of a consolidation. So might be that, for example, you won't need 2-stage sales, but you have like one person walking with you hand by hand all along the process, from selling to expansion and upsell, which is like sometimes in larger organizations, they have like AM, which is account manager, and AE, which is account executive. And so I think like the personal connection was going to be the number one thing that they're going to do, and like the AI is going to not just replace a lot of the work that people can do less good than a system, than AI.
That is, if they're reaching the actual human customer and not the customer's AI agents. That is their.
Of course, they're going to be for sure in a transactional sales. Like I said in the beginning, transactional sales, I believe, is going to be transformed completely by AI, not just from the buyer, like from the seller perspective, but also from the buyer perspective. Like today, if you want to choose between like 10 different tools that are competitor, they're doing similar things. So you're doing kind of like this repetitive work of like 1, 2, 3 demos, understanding the differences. So this is also going to be probably like AI buyer. I think G2 CEO talked about it recently, that they're going to do like a buyer agent.
Amazing. I do want to get more into predictions for overall sales in a bit, but before we go there, what are some of the biggest kind of challenges and risks that have to be navigated here to make this work? I'm guessing a lot of listeners are concerned about things like, well, we all know AI can hallucinate. So you don't want salesperson say, well, hello, George, when it's actually, Peter should be reaching out to you, right? Or that's a still silly example, but hallucinations are a real issue. I'm guessing data privacy protections, data sensitivity, kind of brand voice misfires, right? If the AI agent is writing messages or even speaking in a voice that doesn't kind of fit the brand, what are some of the the biggest kind of obstacles that you guys have to like get right to make this really thrive?
So I think like in general, adoption of AI in the businesses, like in the B2B world, is kind of just getting started. Like it's not really in full adoption, and we can see that the trust is hard, and there is issue to gain trust in it. And I think the way that that companies are adopting it and starting to be there, because I feel like there is no way, like everyone understands that they need to be there and that their future is there, and like they need to get into this water, but it's hard to gain trust on it. So I think the way to look at it is to think about not the first tier customer, like not the tier one customer, but maybe like the tier 2, tier 3 customers you're anyway not talking to today. Like everyone have like this potential customers that they're not
So
speaking to today
low
because they're
stakes,
not the
low stakes, low risk. Like they're probably
yes.
unlikely to convert anyway. So what the heck?
And if you find gold within this like low chances, so it's amazing. Like you can and also you can gain confidence on those. So I think like the way to gain confidence is where there is low risk. You gaining confidence and seeing like it's actually doing a good job. It's actually giving results. It's actually have my, like if I'm saying to have my brand on it, he have like his brand. People is very tolerated for, like they're way more tolerated than there was like 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Like it's every month like changing, and you're also transparent about like using of AI. You're not saying, hey, I'm person, like you're saying, hey, this is AI agent on behalf of this company. So I think this is the way to adopt it and get into it and gain trust on it. So take your long tail, the companies or prospect that you're not kind of like your highest priority, gain trust on it, and then move on, because there is no chance you're not going to be there in a few years. And the sooner you do it, the better from this, like your competitor is going to do it before you. You don't want your competitors to do it before you. So it's like,
Well said. And I love the way you said, of your phrase, gain trust. And you have your company and you have had to gain trust in the past couple of years, and then very quickly. I'd love to, if you're open to sharing a bit, what's this journey been like for you? You've raised what, $7 million seed round in a pretty hypey, you had to cut through with a lot of other companies trying to raise money in a very hypey time period. To obvious point here, it is like when you go to AI conference, it's all like dude, right? It's a lot of men in the AI tech world. You're a female founder. Talk a bit about what's been like for you, and kind of like the biggest challenge you've had to overcome in the past couple of years to bring you guys to where you are now.
So I think like one fun fact to tell about it is that in Humanix, when we were like kind of met, I was in maternity leave, and I came with my mother, my grandmother, and my daughter.
Oh my God.
Because I really
it's amazing. I love that.
It was in a 4-generation trip, because I really want to be there, but I was in maternity leave, so I needed help. and my mother and grandmother was jumping on this opportunity, and like we went, the four of us.
Don't forget Alex and Katie and Luna, 5 generations.
Yes, of course. Right? They're my kids as well.
Sorry, go on.
Yes. So I think like if I'm thinking just about like being a woman in this field, like the place where I feel very privileged is that I have the best co-founder in the world that could really support me during the time I was in maternity leave. And I also have like a network of kind of a sisterhood of other women CEOs and women in tech that also like going through this phase of like giving birth and in the same time managing a startup, and like how you can never really have time off. Like I didn't really had maternity leave 2 hours after my birth. I needed to get into a phone calls. So it's definitely challenging, but really, really satisfying ride to do. And also in terms of the round, so we were really, really privileged, maybe because of our journey before, like maybe because of our past work of, but we really had like kind of, before we even had presentation, we had kind of a lot of term sheets in our table, and I was really, really privileged around, and I think like it was a very big gaining trust from our VC and like from what we're doing, and like I feel like we're confident about our direction and what we want to build to the world. So yeah.
Amazing. I'm still trying to wrap my arms around that incredible, like giving birth. And, also giving birth to companies and products and shipping. So what was maybe an inroad to one question I ask most of my guests is, have you using AI in your own life? I'm guessing that you have so much on your plate, a lot of demands on your time. What are some ways that you're personally using AI, whether for work or for funsies?
Yes. So actually I'm kind of obsessed, and I'm also engineering my background. So it's really fun. So I'm doing a lot of cool project like internally in the company. For example, kind of like the thing that we are not selling, okay, but like just for our own internal purposes. But like things like a support agent that helps to answer tickets based on all of our phone calls. We have a lot of recording from sessions with customers. So things that I'm using in my work life and personal life. So I have Cursor on my computer, which is the amazing IDE with a Copilot ability. And I'm building a lot of the internal processes in our company using AI. So company updates every week. All the company gets updates of everything that happened last week based on all the data that we have in our company. Support agent that helps to answer tickets and support. But also maybe a cool thing that it's actually, I'm using ChatGPT as kind of my psychologist as well.
Same.
I have
Totally
two,
yes.
but like, yeah, but it's insane. Like I really like my conversations with him because it's really like helped me understand like what's holding me back in life and like what can make me like better person. And so I'm a big advocate in the in internal processes and also in like communication kind of best practices, also like communication with my partner in life. And yeah, I really like it.
Incredible. As we wind down, Stav, last couple of questions for you. What advice do you have for folks who are in sales right now, for humans, the old fashioned, meat bag, flesh and blood
Yeah.
humans who are in sales? What advice do you have for them on how to kind of think about their own careers as AI becomes more and more a part of this industry, and what could or should they be doing to like think about embracing AI and making it useful as opposed to being a threat?
Yeah. So first of all, think like I really think like AI won't replace people, but people with AI will replace people. So I really like this known sentence because it's saying like you're a salesperson, like work with AI so you won't get replaced. Like you need to be this person with AI. Maybe that will replace people. It's going to happen. It's coming anyway. So like try to adopt it in, and you don't have to use like a full blown tool or like not even like I'm not saying like go and buy Alta and use us. Use GPT. Okay, use Perplexity. Use use the tools that is very like visible and like use the tool that everybody can use in their phone. I don't know if you have non-iPhone, so you can use Gemini, and or if you have iPhone, download ChatGPT, and try to start to understand how to use it, because there are best practices, and the best way to understand it is to use it by yourself, like act upon, like or act as. So there are a lot of best practices of how to use it, and the sooner you jump into this water, the better.
Totally, wholeheartedly agree with that. And final question for you. You touched upon it a little earlier, but you mentioned how sales could look a bit different. Let's go there a little more, right? What's maybe 5 years on the road, 10 years on the road? Talk about how you see the world of sales looking differently as AI becomes more and more a part of the equation?
Yeah, so I think if we look today at a tactic of sales called named account or field sales, it's like selling tactics that they're looking like I said at the beginning, end to end, to a customer lifecycle, and like really having this personal connection with the customer. Like even I don't know, like maybe we'll go back to door, and you'll go and sit with them in real person, because you're going to have something that's going to work for you, and doing all this like follow up messages and behind the scene for you, and then you have the time to actually create personal connection, and create like a type of sales that is more about this human touch, and less about like the repetitive task or the follow up you needed to write, or getting to know the product better in order to understand all the features and all the capabilities it has to sell. Like, so I think all of those things will become less and less prominent, and like the personal touch will just going to become bigger and bigger. So, and also I think they will like the bummer thing, the sad sub part in it is that they're probably going to get like a much higher quota as well, because they're going to need to have like to work with much more accounts, because they can to work with much more accounts. So this is another scenario that could happen, like that they will need to work with like 200 accounts instead of 50 accounts, or like whatever the numbers that they're working now. So double it by 10.
Well, I think, or 100, right? We started the call off by saying this is 10x, so it's 100x.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Amazing. Well, Stav, this was so much fun. Congrats on what you've built. Please give my best to Alex, Katie, and Luna. Let's not forget Luna.
I will send them.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it. Thanks again to Stav Levi-Neumark, the CEO and co-founder of Alta. And thank you to you, dear listener. If this is your first time at AI Curious, please consider subscribing at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all the usual places. Rate it 5 stars, send to a friend, send to your favorite salesperson or sales agent. Thanks again, and see you next time.